Bible in a year, making it easier to understand.
Okay, Stephanie, before the music even hits, we have to talk about the ghosting of the century. Imagine you're at the bottom of a mountain that is literally on fire with the presence of God. Your leader, the guy who split the sea, the literal goat of mediators, walks into the smoke and just disappears.
And not just for a weekend retreat, John. We're talking 40 days. No read receipts, no typing, bubbles, just silence.
No cap, Steph. 40 days of absolute radio silence. And if I've learned anything from our marriage, it's that when things get quiet, someone is usually about to start a project they weren't supposed to.
Are you talking about the time you tried to renovate the pantry while I was at my mom's?
Exactly. I couldn't handle the silence. And the Israelites, they couldn't handle it either. They saw that Moses delayed to come down. The Hebrew word there actually implies he was shamefully late. They thought he was ghosted by the glory. They were restless, they were scared, and they were ready to innovate.
Welcome back to the Deeper Dive community. I'm Stephanie Dalton, here with my husband John. We are on day 42, and honestly, if you thought the Bible was just a dusty history book, today's reading is going to hit different. We are looking at the ultimate oros at the foot of Mount Sinai.
It's a total breakdown, Steph. We're covering Exodus 32, 33, and 34. It's a story of a gold cow, a massive PR disaster, and the most intense glow-up in human history. But first, we have to talk about that number, 40. Why 40?
I love this part of the research. 40 is the biblical number for probation or testing. It's like a spiritual quarantine. Actually, did you know the word quarantine itself comes from the Italian quarantina, which literally means 40? Back in the day, ships had to sit at anchor for 40 days to make sure the disease died off before they could land.
No way. So Sinai was a heart quarantine. God was waiting to see if their faith was certified or if they were just along for the ride. And spoiler alert, they failed the vibe check. Big time.
They really did. They gathered around Aaron, who, let's remember, was supposed to be the golden tongue guy, the public speaker, and they demanded, "Up, make us gods who shall go before us."
And Aaron, man, he just understood the assignment in the worst way possible. He didn't lead. He facilitated. He was an opinion poll leader. Instead of telling them to touch grass and remember the 10 rules they just agreed to, he tells them to break off their gold earrings.
Wait, the earrings. This is the context that is so fire. Where did they get all that gold in the middle of a desert?
They plundered it from the Egyptians on their way out. Think about the irony, Stephanie. They took the very gold God gave them as a parting gift from their oppressors, and they used it to build God's replacement. That is some toxic energy right there.
It's heartbreaking. But I want to know, why a calf? If I'm going to make an idol, I'm making a golden lion or a dragon. Why a baby cow?
Okay, let him cook. Because this is where the Egyptian background comes in. The Israelites weren't just picking a random animal. They had just spent 400 years in Egypt. And in Egypt, the Apis bull and the goddess Hathor were a massive deal. Hathor was often depicted as a cow with horns and a sun disk.
And what was she the goddess of?
Provision, motherly nurturing, and, get this, she was the mistress of turquoise, who was supposed to protect people in the Sinai Peninsula. So the Israelites were basically saying, Moses ghosted us, the cloud is too scary, let's go back to the familiar Hathor vibe to get some security. It was a coping mechanism, calf.
So they weren't trying to worship a different god. They were trying to domesticate the true God into a shape they could control.
Exactly. Aaron even says tomorrow is a feast to the Lord, capital Lord. He was trying to Yahweh-ify their idol. He was trying to put a holy label on a pagan project. He built the altar. He made the calf with an engraving tool, which means he really took his time on this, by the way. And then they started playing.
And that playing wasn't just board games, was it?
No cap, Steph. The Hebrew word there for play implies a full-on, out-of-control, hedonistic rager. They were singing. They were dancing in the nude. They were reaching a state of religious ecstasy that was purely Egyptian. They ate and left no crumbs of their former covenant.
It's so crazy to think that while they are throwing a party for a piece of metal at the bottom of the hill, Moses is at the top getting the blueprints for the tabernacle, God's mobile headquarters.
It's the ultimate contrast. God is saying, I want to live with you. And they are saying, we want to live with a version of you we can fit in our pockets. And God sees it all. He tells Moses, go down, for your people, whom you brought up, have corrupted themselves.
Wait, did you catch that? God says your people to Moses. He's basically disowning them.
He's totally throwing them under the bus. He's like, Moses, go talk to your kids, because I'm about to hit the delete button on this whole generation. And that sets up the most high-stakes bargaining session in the history of the world.
We are going to take a quick break to catch our breath after all that drama. But when we come back, we're going to look at the modern mirror, how our smartphones have become our version of the golden calf, and how Moses managed to talk God out of destroying everyone.
You do not want to miss it. It's the art of the deal, Sinai style. We'll be right back. And we are back from our quick coffee refill. If you're just joining us, we've been breaking down the ultimate desert disaster, the golden calf. We've talked about the ghosting of the century, Moses disappearing into the clouds, and the Israelites basically having a massive panic attack that they tried to fix with jewelry and a furnace.
It sounds so ridiculous when you say it like that, but honestly, John, it makes me think about us. I mean, they were in a crisis of presence. They felt alone, and they needed something they could see, touch, and control.
No cap, Steph! And that leads us straight into our modern mirror for today. We always talk about idols like they're these weird statues from a museum, but a golden calf is really just a god substitute for anxiety management.
Okay, John, I know where you're going with this. You've been itching to talk about the little glass rectangle in everyone's pocket, haven't you?
Guilty. Look, the research on this is so wild. Think about what happens when you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or when you're sitting in a waiting room, or, even worse, when you're just bored for 10 seconds. What's the first thing you do?
I reach for my phone. Every time. Even if I don't have a notification.
Exactly. The infinite scroll of TikTok or Reels is the modern-day golden calf, not because we literally bow down to it, but because it is our coping mechanism for waiting. The Israelites built the calf because they couldn't handle the restlessness of waiting for Moses to come back from the mountain. We scroll because we can't handle the silence of waiting for God, or anyone else, to show up.
That is a tough pill to swallow, John. So you're saying the problem wasn't the gold itself, it was that they used the gold to fill a void that only God's presence was supposed to fill?
100%. They needed something tangible, visible, and immediate. God felt invisible and slow. The calf felt visible and fast. And we see that same vibe check failure today. We want the dopamine hit of a scroll instead of the deep peace of the spirit. One of the scholars I was reading said it best. It's not about how long you wait, but how well you wait. And Israel, well, they were nagging while they were waiting. They weren't learning. They were just reacting.
I love that. How well you wait. But then Moses comes down, and this is where it gets really intense. He doesn't just give them a digital fast or a screen time limit. He literally grinds the calf into powder, puts it in their water, and makes them drink it. That is some serious main character leadership right there.
He basically made them eat their mistakes. It was a bitter drink, no cap. But then we move into Exodus 33, which is one of my favorite conversations in the whole Bible. God tells Moses, okay, I won't destroy them. I'll still send an angel with you to get you to the promised land. But I'm not going personally, because if I go in your midst, I might consume you.
Wait, so God offers them the blessing, but takes away the blesser? He's like, you want the land? Fine. You want the milk and honey? It's yours. But you're going without me.
It's the ultimate W or L test, Steph. Most people today would take that deal in a heartbeat. Think about it. God, give me the successful business, the perfect house, and the healthy family, and you can just stay up on the mountain. I've got it from here.
But Moses doesn't take the deal, does he? He becomes what one commentary called a brawler in prayer. He dominates the conversation with God.
He's an absolute prime minister appealing to the king. He says, if your presence will not go with me, do not bring us up from here. He basically tells God, I don't care about the real estate if you're not in the house. The only thing that makes us distinct, the only thing that gives us aura, is your presence.
That is so profound. He's essentially saying that the promised land is a desert if God isn't there, and the desert is a paradise if he is. It reminds me of being a lost child in a store. You don't want the toys or the candy, you just want to find your parents so you can feel safe again. Moses was seeking spiritual safety in the presence of God.
Man, that hits deep. And because Moses pushed, because he was bold and had a deep longing, God relents. He says, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." But then Moses, the ultimate main character, pushes even further. He asks for the final boss level of revelation. He says, "Please, show me your glory."
Show me your glory. That is so brave. He wanted to see the kavod, the literal weight and heavy presence of God.
And God says, "You can't see my face and live." It would be like trying to look at the sun with a magnifying glass. So God does something incredibly Shadow of Jesus style. He tells Moses, "There is a place by me where you shall stand on the rock. I will put you in a cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand."
The cleft of the rock. I've heard that song in church 1,000 times, but what does it actually mean in plain English?
It's a hidden gem of protection. In the ancient world, a cleft was just a crack or a small, intimate space in a mountain. God was saying, "I'm going to hide you inside the rock so you can experience my goodness without being destroyed by my holiness." And here's the kicker, Steph. The New Testament tells us that the rock was actually Christ.
No way. So Moses was literally hidden in a physical rock to show us how we are hidden in the living rock. Jesus?
Say less. We are covered by the hand of God, just like the blood of the Lamb at Passover, so we can gaze on his beauty and live. Moses only got to see God's back parts as he passed by, but even that tiny glimpse was enough to change his entire life.
It's so beautiful. It's an intimate and holy moment. Sometimes God takes us to wide open spaces, but other times he puts us in these small spaces, these seasons of quarantine or waiting, just so it can be just you and him.
And that intimate encounter is exactly what led to the most famous glow-up in history. When Moses comes down that mountain for the second time, he doesn't just have a new perspective. He has a new face filter that won't turn off.
A face filter. I love that. We are going to take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to spill the tea on the biggest mistranslation in art history. Did Moses have rays of light coming out of his head, or did he literally grow horns?
And we'll look at the diamond of love, the Hebrew word Hesed. You don't want to miss the finale. We'll be right back.
And we are back for the final stretch. I hope you guys got a refill on your water or coffee. John is currently on his third cup, so the energy is about to hit the ceiling.
Hey, when the text is this fire, you don't even need the caffeine, Steph. But it helps. It definitely helps. We are diving into the core, segment 3, where we look at the Hebrew hidden gems in Exodus 34. If you've been following along with the image we shared, you know we're wrapping up this epic trilogy of chapters.
So, we've had the disaster of the gold calf. We've had the intense prayer brawl where Moses bartered for the lives of the people. Now, Moses is back on the mountain. It's a second chance moment, and God does something incredible. He gives a self-introduction.
Yes, Exodus 34 verses 6 to 7. If you ever wanted to know God's bio or his main character profile, this is it. It is the most quoted verse within the Bible itself. God passes by and proclaims, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness."
That phrase, steadfast love, in Hebrew, that's the word Hesed, right?
Exactly, pronounced Hesed. And Stephanie, you can't just translate this with one English word. It's a diamond of love. Depending on your Bible version, it might say mercy, loving kindness, or loyal love.
I love that. A diamond. Because every way you turn it, you see a different sparkle of God's heart. But what does it mean in plain English for our community today?
Here's the modern mirror for Hesed. It is a contractual heart. It's a love that is bound by a covenant, like a marriage, but it's fueled by a deep, irrational affection. One of my favorite scholars, John Oswald, says it's an undeserved kindness done by someone in power.
I read a story about this. It's like the bone-weary father who has worked a double shift, but then gets a call that his son is in trouble. Maybe he's in jail or just made a massive mess of his life. The father doesn't just say, "Well, the contract is broken." He gets in the car and drives through the night to bail him out. That's Hesed. It's a love that is stuck with you, no matter what.
No cap? God is saying, I know you guys just built a gold cow. I know you're stiff-necked. But my Hesed is bigger than your rebellion. It's a love that keeps the covenant even when we're persistent breakers of it.
I need that today, John. I really do. But we have to talk about the glow up. Because after Moses sits in that Hesed for another 40 days, remember, he's not eating or drinking this whole time, he comes down the mountain and his face is different.
He's literally radiant. The Hebrew word is Karen, and this is where we have to spill the tea on some religious art history. If you've ever seen Michelangelo's famous statue of Moses, have you noticed anything weird on his head, Steph?
He has literal horns, like stone horns sticking out of his hair. It's always been so cringe to me.
Total aura loss for Moses there. But here's the deal. The Hebrew word for radiant is a verb form of the word for horn. When Jerome translated the Bible into Latin back in the 4th century, he took it literally. He thought Moses grew actual horns.
So it was just a massive mistranslation?
Well, yes and no. In the ancient world, horns were symbols of power, divinity, and main character energy. So the text was saying Moses had a divine aura so thick that it looked like beams of light radiating out, kind of like horns of fire.
That's so much cooler than stone horns. He was soaking in God's presence so long that he started to embody the light. But it terrified the people. Aaron and the leaders shrank from him. He had to wear a veil just to talk to his friends.
Think about that vibe check. He didn't even know his face was shining. When you spend real, intimate time with the God of Hesed, you don't have to announce it. People just see the glow up in your character. Your aura changes.
And John, isn't there a link to the New Testament here? Because I don't want to wear a veil.
Oh, it's the best W of the day. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians that the glory on Moses' face was fading. It was temporary. But because of Jesus, the true image of God, we can have an unveiled face. We behold his glory, and we are transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another.
So our glow up isn't a physical shine, it's a soul shine. It's becoming merciful, gracious, and slow to anger, just like he is.
Man, that is a word.
John's actually speechless. That might be the real miracle of day 42.
Hey, I'm just taking it in. But seriously, community, this is where we land. Don't settle for a gold cow. Those little distractions and anxiety management tools that eventually just turn into bitter dust.
Choose the cleft of the rock. Choose the intimate, quiet space with God. That's where the real transformation happens.
Say less. That is the Day 42 W.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deeper dive. We covered a lot of ground today, from Egyptian cow goddesses to the diamond of Hesed.
Remember, the text message summary for today is stop scrolling the gold cow and start seeking the God glow. It's not about how long you wait, but how well you wait.
Here is your specific action step for the next 24 hours. Touch grass. Seriously. Leave your phone in the other room for just 10 minutes. Sit in the silence. Ask the God of Hesed to show you his ways, just like Moses did. You'll be surprised at how that quiet space can change your whole vibe.
We love you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss Day 43, where we finally start building the mobile headquarters, the tabernacle.
Have a beautiful, radiant day. We'll see you tomorrow.